Yep, we're good.
I think I need glasses soon too.
Oh, dude, I can't. This past year, I can't live without my glasses, bro.
It literally just started.
Directions. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, are they making this shit smaller? I'm like,
I just started doing it. I usually hold my phone here, and
I'm
now
like
I'm going.
This, dude. Like right there, I was having trouble.
I'm like, oh no.
Hey, Jason, did you graduate to this yet?
Oh, he does a.
Did you graduate to that yet?
Yes. I refuse to do that.
I still gotta know.
I refuse to do that. He's getting to the point where he's like, "Hey, man, I'm about to go get the New Balance shoes." I'm like, "No, we're not there yet, bro."
I'm there.
I'm like, "We are not there." We're here at Car Supplies Warehouse with Jason. If you don't know Jason, get out from under your rock. Go to YouTube. The man is everywhere in the detailing industry. Car Supplies Warehouse, the Bays. We are here, Chicago, Romeoville to be exact, and we're talking about getting old. But this is something that Sal's been fascinated with. Just the process itself and the operation, the self-service part of it, and the experience overall has been great. And we've also been, taking a look at the operation as a whole. The warehousing, the logistics. All of that stuff is fun for us. Sal has a background in logistics. I have a background in operations. So we just, we come on these visits and we have these podcasts to as much as we're learning, we want others to learn and we want to feel inspired as well. And I think Jason is one of those individuals in the industry that has had his hands on a little bit of everything. So I think we have a lot to learn from him. You guys may know him from Chicago Auto Pros. He's been a detailer for how long were you detailing before you started?
I think I started when I was like 19 years old. So it's like 21, 22 years.
Yeah,
that's a long time. A lot of knowledge.
Yeah. And he's continued to progress and develop and innovate things within the industry that have taken the industry to another level. As we all know, kind of like the new wave of cleaning is like the dry ice, like when you're getting that intense. And obviously you can only detail to a certain point to where you need certain types of things. You got to go to the next level. Jason's always kind of one step ahead, and that's one of the reasons that we're here today, because we feel it's important to kind of see what Jason has up his sleeve and to kind of give my man his flowers for what he's done in the industry. We've heard a lot throughout our careers. I kind of want to do a Car Supplies Warehouse. That's been thrown around to us a few times by other people that have tried.
Jason's here to tell you why it's not so good too.
Maybe you don't want.
There's ups and downs about it all, isn't there?
Yeah. And we just got back from lunch and we were talking about that the part of the creativity.
Yeah.
Like where the emotion and the personal part comes in, but then the business side has to kind of come in too. How do you kind of navigate that, and how do you know what to lead with, I should say, because most of us know that there's two parts of the business. There's that creative side, that innovation side, that side, that the passion where you're driven, you want to do things. And then there's the practical side. Ooh. There's the financial side. There's the risk management side. There's the operational side. There's that side that a lot of people don't talk about, because this side sounds great. But then when you get it, this also comes with it. So let people know kind of through your journey, because you've done so much. A lot of guys have maybe only done, okay, I have my shop. Okay, I have my retail store. But you're doing a lot of these things simultaneously. PPF, you have your own PPF brand, optical. So with that, that's a whole nother business within the business.
This is such a deep question, because most people have one or the other. They have an operational type of sensible type of brain, or they're on the creative side and they like to explore and learn and push the limits type of stuff. And a lot of times, a lot of people don't have both of them. And that's really hard.
And that's where you get a lot of friction when those two meet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for myself, I'm definitely more of the creative visionary. I want to try everything. I'm always trying to push myself and challenge myself as much as possible. That's why I love continuously learning. I love diving into subjects, whether it's, dry ice or making content videos or doing whatever, or what's new, what new technology and stuff. So I love going down that route because it's exciting for me to explore and learn and stuff like that too. But, as a business owner, that can get you in trouble. It's like chasing the shiny things, and I have very much loved chasing the shiny things or doing things. My brain has always been, how much farther can I take it? Where can I go? And what else can we do? Because the fun part to me is the journey of growing the business and seeing what can happen. But the sensible side is find something that works and just keep working it and build up your financial bank account and stuff too,
Yeah.
So I've always been on the visionary side.
Yeah.
And
That can be,
that's floor side.
And I think at all levels, we can all agree that innovative and vision side, that's why when you see most of these, really high-end restaurants, you have the chef,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the restaurateur, the investor. They're not running and operating the restaurant. The chef in the front of houses, that's their job, to be the chef. Hey, you be an artist. You do your part. You're not necessarily supposed to be a business person, because it can be draining on one or the other. And it's kind of a balancing act.
Business is so complex, and it's not just one thing. When I teach business, I teach the 8 cylinders of business. And the concept behind it is you need all 8 for that business to be able to run properly, because, you can be great at sales. You can have one of the best products. You can have operational, you can have great people. But if you suck at marketing and not able to get people into what you're selling or what you're doing, your business is not going to run very well. And it could be vice versa or anything. You could be great at marketing, but if you're not able to have a good operations or team or management, it's all going to fall apart. So literally, you have to have a lot of things. You got to do very well in lots of different areas within business. It's not just one area that you can be good at. And that's why in our business, technicians, a lot of us come in because we love detailing cars or working with our hands. But it doesn't translate sometimes to the business side. You can be the best detailer in the world, but if you don't know how to run a business, your success rate is going to be very low.
What do you have to say about that, Sal? That's a lot to unpack for some of these.
Yes.
That's a lot of good information that a lot of people need to hear. That can save you so much heartache, so much, a lot of just trouble.
And knowing
general.
yourself, that's younger. It's tough when younger guys because you don't really know yourself. But I think once you get to our age, you kind of begin to know yourself a little bit better, or maybe you've done it and said, "Hey, I tried that. I didn't like that." Yeah. You know what?
Well, I'm sure you see it all the time with you. You got your car supplies warehouse.
Yeah.
I'm sure you see detailers come in all the time. Oh, I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna take over the game. Watch, I'm new. I'm gonna take over in 2 years, and just like that doesn't work like that.
YouTube videos.
Doesn't work like that, young man.
Well, what we do now is we get more value out of talking to the people in our industry or people we look at as, maybe they're in a position where we look to be in the future or a direction that we want to go, or maybe they just share the same mindset.
Right.
What we really value is more than the accomplishments are the things that they won't do. When they say, no, I won't do that. Like, Jason, do you do this? I won't do that. And usually when someone says, no, I won't do that, or I won't do that again, they usually say it with some kind of passion because they had to go through some shit to figure out, like, that is not going to work, or that I will never do that again because that caused me so many issues within my business, or it almost caused me a divorce, that one decision that I made on my business, or I almost lost it all because of that, So when people tell us, oh, no, I don't do that, especially if it's someone we respect, we want to know why. Why exactly? Why did you say that? Oh, let me tell you why. And they're happy saying, let me tell you why. Because this, and this. It's like, okay, I'd never even considered that. I wouldn't have thought that would have been a problem. Like, great one right here. you know, our good friend Christian, Biobombs.
Mm-hmm.
You know how much trouble he has at airports bringing his stuff over?
I didn't even think of that.
Bio-bomb.
Biobombs.
Bio-bombs.
Yeah. He gets
What do you
stopped
got
at the
there?
airport.
Biobombs? What?
Yeah. He says he gets stopped all the time.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's sealed and packed and like they have to like, you know, saran wrap it like real heavy because, you know, you don't want the dogs are always
I never would have thought
the
of that.
dogs are always sniffing them, you know, it's just like and he goes, I did not realize that was going to be picking that name, I never thought it was going to be a problem. So shipping, he goes, I've had a couple things.
The logo is a bomb.
Yeah. So like small things like that you hear throughout business that you wouldn't consider. That's just one piece of the pie. Like Biobombs has an operation to run, but on top of that operation, now shipping and logistics every once in a while, it may only be 10% of the time, but that's still 10% of the time we know something's going to happen there. So now we have to prepare for that. And, you know, so small business decisions can have a big effect on you too. So we like to share stuff like this because I think it's fun and interesting what people go through because we all go through it.
Yeah.
You know, some people are really embarrassed about the things or, you know, their pride gets hit really hard when they hit a roadblock or an area where maybe they didn't perform as well as they thought they were going to, or it didn't work out the way they expected it to. But that's just a part of business.
Yeah, you want everything to work out, of course.
Yes.
You know, you want everything to be smiles and sunshine and everything. But oftentimes the hardest things that you have to go through is like the best lessons in life that you learn.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been through a lot of them and I'm thankful for all of them because I learned a lot every time some sort of, you know, really bad thing happened.
Yeah. We've learned a lot also too when things didn't happen. You ever try to push something and you really wanted it to work and it just wasn't happening, and then it didn't happen, and then later on you realize, oh God, I'm so glad that didn't go through. So glad that didn't happen. So glad we didn't go forward with that because it would have, you know.
I've done that with so many employees where you have somebody you really like I like this person a lot. I can teach them how to be a better employee. And sometimes they just are who they are.
Oh yeah, that's tough. Yeah. That's tough because now we're talking another type of investment. Because now we're talking an emotional investment. Like you're giving additional resource. Because something like that, now you're going into that, I call it savior mode as a leader. Like you're going into savior. You're like, now I'm on full-on mentorship mode, and that is exhausting. So you give somebody that, and it doesn't work out, that feels like the total betrayal. Like I've done that times where I've invested years into people, and it just doesn't work out. And I'm like, jeez. But also, you got to understand that's sometimes a part of business. And if it doesn't work out,
that's a part of leadership.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
Yeah. I have a saying that I don't know if you would agree this or not. I believe there is a difference between a business owner and an entrepreneur. I believe anybody can become a business owner. You know, you can legally start your business, you can become a detailer, and you can start a one-man detail shop out of your house. That is a business owner. I think an entrepreneur is building something that will live beyond themselves, right? And in order to be an entrepreneur, you need to scale your business, and you need to have employees. You need to be able to build a team. And that's one of the hardest things when it comes to building a business. And I feel like this industry is kind of split, right? Because it is an industry where you can start it and make decent money working by yourself out of your garage, you know? So there's a lot of people who do that, and that's respectable. But I wouldn't consider them entrepreneurs. They're business owners. And they've created themselves a really good job. It's probably better than most of the jobs that you can get out there. There's a lot of passion and stuff that you can do. You are working for yourself. But an entrepreneur has a different mentality of building a business, scaling a business to where they can make money when they're not there. You know, building something that doesn't require them to be a part of it. You know, it's not that business is not going to go away if they get injured or hurt or something even worse.
Yeah, right? You never want the operation to stop.
Yeah, and in employees are like, it's the number one question a lot of times when I'm talking to business owners. How do I find the right employee? How do I motivate the right people? How do I, on the operations side, be able to get them to be able to do the things that we need to do efficiently and get the final result or the quality, that the same thing that you would put out when you started, because most of us are going to start, 1 or 2 people and then build up from there, but at the beginning you have that final product that you're giving out that you're proud of. But as you grow and as you scale, those are some of the fears with employees, that they're not going to be able to do it as well as I did, or they're not going to deliver the same type of product that I did. And how do you make sure and maintain that it is going to stay up to that quality?
Yeah, the quality control and the consistency is always one of the things that tends to drop off. And that's a lot of the times we see it because of the lack of controls in the operation by the leader, by the person in charge, and it's a very difficult thing to do. And everybody's looking for that Willy Wonka golden ticket answer, right? Well, how do I do it, Jason? Just tell me, how do I do it?
Yeah, just tell me. Just write it on a piece of
write it down
paper.
and I'll do it. Just give me the answer, dude. It's not like that. It's because there's so many variables.
Yep.
You have the personality type, you have the work ethic, you have the motivational factor. How is this person motivated?
Yeah.
Are they motivated by praise? Are they motivated by reward? Are they motivated by fear? Are they motivated by by incentive? There's multiple ways that people. I always say that the approach is the most important thing from a leader.
Sure.
Because you have to wear so many hats with so many. You could be asking the same thing of 10 different people, but you have to say it 10 different ways to get the same result.
Sure.
Equally across the board from everybody, because everybody responds differently.
Everybody thinks differently.
Yeah.
Everybody perceives words differently. Yeah.
And people think it's just, all I got to do is do this, hire somebody, and then and now I remove myself from that piece. It's not that easy.
Yeah, if you think you're going to get removed out from operation, you're going in the wrong direction.
That's what everybody's goal. They always said it, right? They're like, well, because I want to get out of here. I don't want to do this. It's like, it's a long road to get there. Yeah. And before you get there, you're going to spend a lot more time in the operation doing things, because that's what it takes. We've all hired those panic mode hires.
You need somebody.
You just need a body. I just need a body.
That sounds so bad, huh? I just need a body.
Yeah, the first person that answers the email, you'll do.
Yeah, and then a lot of the times that ends up being more work.
Sure.
Just the training and development side of it itself.
I remember being on the hiring panels, and this is something that folks don't talk about. And you're bringing in talent. You got positions open, and a guy or gal comes in, they knock it out the park. You just see it. There's something that you get to a leader where you just notice, and they're everyone's taking like, I want this person. It got to a point where I learned like, okay, you could have that person. Why? Because that person's so good. They're going to be gone in 6 months. They're not sticking around. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, you're right. It's the best person for the job, but I'm going to put my heart and soul into this person. They're so good. They're gone. Yeah. They're not going to stick around. And that's another part where you have to like,
sometimes there's not but I think there is like best practices.
Oh, always.
A lot of time. And I think if you boil it down to the basic human needs, you really figure out how you can do it really. I like to simplify things, right? Like people want to feel like they are contributing to something. They want to feel valued, and ultimately, this is a very hard. They want to be happy, and obviously that's different for everybody. But you boil it down to those basic human needs, besides the fact that we need oxygen and food and fuel and all that stuff. But the basic human needs for feelings and feeling like you're a whole
value.
Yeah, it's just like you want to feel like you're a part of something. Yeah. You want to feel like you're contributing. It's hard for a lot of business owners to understand, that a lot of young people, when they come to us, they kind of feel lost. They haven't found what they want to do or who they want to be. They're finding themselves, and that can be such a weird position to be in. And I remember
how I was.
I feel like detailing saved my life because I found something I felt like I belonged to. Like before that, from 16 to 19, where I was working different jobs as a busboy and stuff. It's like people ask me like, well, what do you want to do? What do you, who are you? I didn't identify as anything. I felt lost. I found something in detailing where I felt like I could contribute, and I felt like I had something that almost completed me.
Yeah.
Right. And the same thing, if you can understand when a lot of younger people come in, where they are at in life and what they are looking for, you can understand, you can put yourself in their shoes. Like when you were young, you felt lost. I didn't know what I really wanted. There wasn't a lot of things are different things are important to you when you're younger, right? Than it is when you're in your 40s and stuff. So understanding people and where they are at in their lives and figuring out, how you can contribute to. I always like working with younger people because it gives me an opportunity to be able to make memories in their life and teach them something that they'll carry with them throughout their entire career. And I'm pretty hard on people. I'm pretty strict. So like I have I hold myself to very high standards, right? So I also hold my employees to pretty high standards. And I often let people know like, hey, this is a passion for me. I'm a driven person. I like to work. I enjoy working, and I like working hard. And when I'm here, I want to make a difference. And I let people know too, like I have to, I will hold my employees to high standards, and I will challenge you because I want you to learn. I want you to continue to grow in your personal life and in your career life, right? And not everybody can take that. Yeah. And if they're not those types of people, they see you as an asshole. They see you as you're criticizing me. You're telling me everything I'm doing wrong. You may see it as like, no, I'm trying to help you and teach you and show you the things, the right way to do things, or try this or try that. But they often see it as criticism, and I just got yelled at, and then you're the asshole, yeah. Right? But finding those basic needs, going back to that, finding the basic human needs to make them feel like they are part of it too. But employees, that's the toughest part when people are younger, is they don't necessarily know where they're at or what's important to them or what their values are. And I think that's exciting, especially working with younger people, to try to find that in them.
I think that's a very rewarding. That's such a great point, because for the longest time, like Sal's known this about me because he's seen me, through college and then after college and this and that, and then start managing and kind of getting away from the creative stuff. And it's that whole time it was like eating away at me. Like there's something I need to be doing that I'm not fulfilled. I don't have like a true passion right now, or I'm not able to make my passions my living, or maybe I got to find something else to, there's that inner part of you that just needs more. And it's not a monetary thing. This is simply for self-development, improvement, satisfaction, feeling good about yourself in what sure. you're doing and the direction you're taking in life, to feel like you have some sort of meaning of stuff. It's not just a mundane thing. And I was really resistant when I was younger to my mentors probably hated me because I was resistant towards everything. I don't want to do that. But they knew I had a strong personality. They're like, people listen to you.
That's the double-edged sword we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Right?
They're like, people will follow you and take direction because of how hard you're working.
Yeah.
And they're seeing the result. And you're very clear and decisive on what it is that you want done.
Yeah.
So they learned how to harness that, my mentors, and thank God they did, because they disciplined me. And they allowed me to kind of they showed me what I was capable of. And that's a great feeling. And I think you kind of have experienced that. And I think that's why you do it so passionately. You're like, I got to find that. It's almost a challenge. I got to find that. because when you do find that in an individual, oh man, that's when you it's like day and night. That's the best feeling in the world, where it's like, damn, this person used to have no clue or no direction or anything. And now they're thriving in whatever it is that they're doing because it changed their lives, and that's you hear that all the time. I think that's the importance of a mentor. If you can get somebody that you can, even if you have to do it for free, to be around them, to be in that culture and just engaged with that type of personality in environment, I think that can do, you can make massive strides in development that way.
I think it should always be for free. I think we see this all the time. Mentorships, you get these paid mentorships. That's something that I never agreed upon. The word I think the word mentor is just overly used.
Sure.
I think mentor is someone that it doesn't have to be said. Like there's a bunch of guys that I looked up to in my career that I never called them my mentor, but they played a major role in my development.
Yeah.
And they always looked out for me. They didn't have to tell me, "Hey, I'm looking out for you." They said it with their actions, and vice versa.
Yeah, I've had several business coaches that I paid for, which I found a lot.
I just seems like the value of it. It's more organic.
Yeah,
that's part of getting.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily the and we're getting a little off time. I don't think it's necessarily the phrase mentoring. It's just, and then also the time we're living in. There's so many people calling themselves things to get money, and unfortunately, the ones that are really doing it, it kind of like it kind of just dilutes things down. And
I've had a lot of people ask me to like mentor them or talk to them, and I like talking to people most of the time, but oftentimes I'm like, I just gotta straighten my own shit out first.
I think that's where a lot of people are. It's like, I think you're asking the wrong person. It's like, no, but you are that person now.
Yeah, they look at this, they're like, "Oh, you must know what you're doing." I'm like, I have no clue.
I'm still figuring it out. Yeah.
Day by day.
It's the same. Like Matt Mormon, Obsessed Garage. He's like, he goes, I get imposter syndrome because I'm like, I don't even know if I'm doing this shit right. He goes, I worked on myself a lot, and I still don't think, and I think that's another thing that comes with business too, right? And scaling, you find out who you are. You're like, okay, am I capable of doing this? Like, you really find out who the fuck you are. Like, you find out what you got in the tank.
Or you just question it every day.
Yeah.
Who am I?
Yeah. But if you look back, you see things and you're like, holy shit, I got through that.
Yeah. Oh, that's hard for business owners to look back on the accomplishments you've made.
Yeah.
Because it is such a, like you set a goal and you get to it. Now you're like, what's next? Yeah. It's hard to look back and know, to see the progression that you've actually made throughout the years. And I think that's why a lot of entrepreneurs still, like, I'm still trying to figure it out. They've already, they can't even like process all the stuff they've already figured out.
Yeah.
Because they set their goals to something else that they haven't figured out. So they always feel like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure this out. But
and usually you're not in, it sounds bad, but it's like usually you're not in the present. You're usually months down, years down. Right now we're here doing this.
Yeah.
But you're somewhere else mentally, like
most of the time
with business wise, you're not thinking of day-to-day operation. Yeah. You're thinking, what's going on in the next 2 weeks, the next 3 weeks, the next 2 months, the next year. That's the difference between the visionary and the operation guy too. Yes. For me, I have to, and that's why I love having Sal with us also, because with details, because Sal, he forces us to have those times to celebrate the things that we've accomplished. Where I'm just like, bro, I don't know what's, there's times where I'm like, hey, I don't know what's going on.
Come over here tripping. And I'm like, what you mean? We just did this. We got off the phone with this. We just signed this. I was like, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go home and get a beer. So he's like, okay, all right.
And it takes me time to kind of like, I have to get out of my head and really look at the present and see what accomplishments are in front of me, whether they're big, whether they're small, whatever it is. Maybe, okay, we got out of work early today, or I didn't have to do this, or I completed this, which is always our weakest area of whatever. We took care of this first, or whatever. Any type of accomplishment that's made, I think, needs some sort of, because no one's going to do it for you. No one's going to do it for you.
It's hard.
You got to be able to say, you know what? I really did this. And that's why we write down all of our goals.
I need to start a department of celebrations.
You should. Dude. And I will tell you what, like, as far as building culture, that shit that staff loves.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you hit a goal or you exceed a goal, me and Sal, when we set our goal, like we've pretty much exceeded almost every goal already for the year. And we set our goals about 6 months into
It's only
the
March.
prior. I know, but we've already exceeded. Like we're planning stuff already that we thought we were not going to be able to try to do in like 2026, like for the end of the year. Like that's where our timeline is now. So there's things where we're just like, okay, we did this, we did this, we did this, we did this. Now we did this, now we did this, and it's like all these opportunities that we were looking to kind of put into place came to us first. Where it's like, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
That happened a lot faster than I thought it was going to happen.
Man.
You know,
One of my old mentors told me, Sal, sometimes you gotta toot your own horn because no one else will. So I don't mind tooting my own horn when it's necessary.
Yeah. So it's you know, maybe some people watching this will be like, man, that's a lot of work. But it's worth it. Like you got to realize like the good times are really, really good. The sense of achievement, what you put yourself through and what you become through that process, like you said, that journey is the fun part for you. That's the part where you get the thrill, and when it's over, it's kind of like, okay, that's it. Because a lot of artists have that also. Like you're creating for months and months and months this masterpiece or whatever it is, and when it's done,
what's next?
It's like, well, okay, that's done. Like that was it. Yeah, it's like, okay, that was it.
You said there's business owners and there are entrepreneurs. I think business owners, they set goals that are monetary. And like that's like one of the worst things you could do. You can always have that as a goal, but you got to have other ones that support that.
Oh yeah,
because the money's going to come.
Yeah,
at least it should.
Hopefully,
if your goals are right, and just people just get fixated on a number.
Yeah,
and our goals have nothing to do with the number. The ultimate goal is the number, but how we get there.
Yeah, we've eliminated the number. I think that was the biggest thing for us. And I understand a lot of people that we're talking ideal. You know, like a lot of people can't say, well, I got bills to pay. I have things. I get it. But we're lucky enough to be in a situation where it's like, okay, now we can do everything purely based off of passion. And that's all we want to teach people is whatever it is that you're doing, I think it's very important to lead with passion. Lead with that passion. If you're not 100% passionate in it, it's going to be so hard to get through those hard times. It's going to be so hard to like rough it through because it gets fucking hard. It gets really fucking hard. Like, you know, any business owner that's doing it, that's starting out, that's scaling, or maybe they're, you know, towards the end of their career and they're trying to kind of like scale down. Like even that's tough. You know, you have the more responsibility that comes on, you know, onto your plate, the more pressure that you have, the more deadlines, the more communication you need. All of that becomes a lot. But I think if you're passion driven, that passion is going to keep you like, you have no problem working 10 hours, right?
It'll certainly help through those hard times for sure.
It's going to it's going to give you that extra 10% that you know, otherwise maybe wouldn't have.
You need it because it's inevitable. You're going to have tough times. There are going to be things that you cannot control that you're going to have to go through, and you're going to have to weather the storm. And by having that passion, doing something that you love to do, it's going to be much easier to make it through.
And I always believe you're just going to do it better when you love doing it. You know, once I kind of, you know, we kind of told apart, like when you said when I was going through all these other jobs and careers when I was younger, I didn't know what I wanted to do. You're kind of like wandering through the dark, you know, but when you find that passion, it drives you, and you're going to do that job. You're going to do something you love far more, you know, with much more pride, and you're going to do it a lot better than something you don't like to do. You know, so
life's just too short to do something you don't like doing.
It's like we were at the airport yesterday, and we're just like, it sounds like, man, I can't imagine working 8 hours of something I don't like to do. And he's only been out of his job from your old career for less than 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
So can you imagine?
Analyst
for
the feds. Punching numbers. Before that, it was management. So I thought the golden ticket was I knew going in, like that's where I wanted to be, but I had to go through all this grunt work, go through the management, go through the chain, and I got the analyst position, and I reached that number, and that number wasn't it.
Didn't make you happy.
time doing something for 8 hours that you don't like doing.
Yeah,
it's painful.
Yeah, we both did that. We both, and I think that was. I'm glad we did it when we did, because we still have enough of our youth left to kind of do an encore run with like passion driven and do what we love, and really, because we did waste a lot of time giving it to something else that was
giving it all you got.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, at least you're giving it to something that's yours.
Yeah. We
were giving it to something that didn't give a fuck about us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part to swallow when you're, in your 30s and you're like, I fucking gave them 20 years and they didn't give shit about me, or whatever. And you leave and they're just like, okay, cool. Well, your position will be filled. As soon as you leave, you already got somebody hired, ready to go. Like it's nothing. So it's, when you're doing it for yourself, it's completely different. If we could go back and do it, would we have as much leadership training? Probably not. But we see other guys do it, and they've done it their whole lives.
I could have shaved off a few years.
Yeah, definitely. I would have made a plan to be like, use the resources here, and then as soon as I get to a certain level, then I'm doing my own thing.
I had this all figured out by 30 if I wanted to.
Yeah.
So you said something that I think about a lot, and that is you worked for somebody for that long, and you felt like you weren't taken care of, or as an employer. I always try to think of how can I show my appreciation for my employees without giving away the house or giving away everything, because it is this kind of like contract of like, hey, you come in, you work for 8 hours, I pay you, and you go home, right? Like, what else do you owe them at the end of the day for their contribution? Like, how do you, because you can't give your business away to everybody that comes in, but us as employers want to have those long-term employees, so how do we as employees take care of, or employers take care of those employees? Like, what can we do to be able to make sure that they're well taken care of? Because I know in a small business, like in a corporate position, right? Like, I feel like there is a lot of money to be made, and they're able to like put money away for like 401k.
There's resources,
but like a small business, like I've never been in the position to where I've made a ton of money to be able to like give back to the employees. Like, we give bonuses and stuff, and at the end of the year based on profit, if there's a profit and everything. But like smaller detailing businesses, it's not like there's millions and millions of dollars being put away to be able to take care of the employees that have been you for that long. Yeah.
It's a tough, and I think it's just small businesses in general, because we consult with a lot of businesses, whether it's bars, restaurants, gyms, and most of them are small, about 15 to 20 employees or lower. Yeah. But as long as we keep it fun.
It's not fun, though.
Yeah. But it keeps it motivating.
It's always good knowing, too, when you're in the shit, you got someone else there in the shit with you. Yeah. That makes it better. You know what you're saying? Like, when you get locked up, a good friend's going to be locked up with you. There's an old saying like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things with the bays that I would like to do, and I'm going to try to do, is give people that work here an opportunity to own their own bays, right? So I have a gentleman that's going to be starting with me in a couple weeks here, and one of the things that we talked about is a 2-year mark, because I would like to see him open his own location if that's what he wants, and I know he does because we've talked about it. But like, I've always thought, we were going through this with Chicago Auto Pros too, where we can have a program for the employees to go through each of the departments and learn it as much as they can, so they can start their own business, whether it was a Chicago Auto Pros. But with the bays, it's now a franchise, and now I do have that opportunity for people that come in to have some sort of, like training course that goes through all the facets of running a business within the base and give them that opportunity to be able to start their own location and be able to support them in that way.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool.
Potential growth right there, just alone.
Yeah.
That's something that a lot of jobs can't guarantee or won't even discuss that with you.
Right.
So when somebody is in a place, in a culture, and environment that they like, and they know, hey, I'm progressing here too. I'm getting better. I'm able to, and you're creating a sense of ownership with that. That changes everything. So this is why we're here. This is why we're talking to you, because a lot of people don't understand the value of those things in your business. And I don't think people talk about that enough. For us, it's like, those are things that are super important. And if you are incorporating these things into your business, you know how fucking hard it is.
Oh, it's so hard.
Because that's extra work. Like that, it's you have people that do baseline work, baseline management, baseline leadership, baseline operations, baseline everything, where they're just doing what's needed to get by.
Yeah.
When you do the extra stuff on top of that, that is so much. It may only be 10, 15, 20% extra more work, but that work comes from a different place, right? I feel like it does.
And most people are so defeated from just running their own business.
They don't want to deal with that.
Point. They're like, I got to the point here. It was a lot of work. Don't ever want to go through that again, because it's a sacrifice sometimes to run your own business.
Jason, we talked about you building up your team, trying to get them to stay employees. But at what point, or have you encountered it, like it comes a problem? Like, okay, I can no longer do this. I hit my mark. I'm doing all I can, and it's still not working. Like, what was the learning? Like, okay, I'm wasting my time now. I'm sure that's a learning curve. It's probably a forever learning curve.
Yeah.
Where do you stop the support or stop giving as far as a business owner, boss man?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that, but I'll attempt it, because I've always, I have never considered myself a good manager or a good leader, right? Like, because I've always been on the visionary side of creating. I love marketing and trying to build something. I've always been a little bit of like a bulldozer, where like I'm gonna forge the way. I got this idea and I'm gonna make it happen. And I've been very, very independent for myself. I like doing things myself, and that doesn't necessarily translate real well to being a team player or being a leader within a company. But I've worked with a lot of people, and here's my mentality of like, literally I have a cover letter on my business guide. I have like a 40-page business guide that goes through all my core values and who we are and where we're going and like the whole vision of the company and everything. In the cover letter, I let people know that like I don't deal with mediocrity or an average, right? And there's nothing. There's a lot of average people out there, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the people that I want to work with are people who have a drive and that are passionate. And then that's a lot of times when you have a lot of drive and a lot of passion, there are some things that come with that you have to deal with, like some attitudes and stuff like that. But I've always been a very honest, straight, tell me how it is type of person. And a lot of people in the workforce are timid or sensitive or scared to be able to bring stuff up, but I've always enjoyed it. So for me, it's hard finding employees that will be able to accept criticism and be able to put themselves in a position of vulnerability, of like, expose my weaknesses, let me know what I'm doing wrong, and let's figure out how to get there, right? Because most of them end up taking it the wrong way or get hurt, and so it's always been hard for me to find employees because I am very hard on myself, like extremely hard on myself, and I've been criticized by employees that I have I have very high expectations, and I do. But I tell them, I'm like, I promise you, my expectations are not as high as for you as they are for myself. I hold myself to a very high standard. But in my mind, and this could be right or wrong, the way that I'm thinking is I'm trying to build something extraordinary. I'm trying to build something big. And in order to have at least the people directly working with me,
the mediocrity, I can't have that around me.
They have to be able to be open, honest, and willing to be vulnerable and willing to maybe even cry a little bit, maybe even go back and forth and argue. You know, those driven, passionate people, you know, they do have a lot of opinions and things, and most of the time I'm perfectly fine with challenges, even with people, because I want that. I love that open honesty part of it. But it's often really hard to find those people, extremely hard.
Yeah.
And I've softened up, you know, from where I was like 5 years ago, but oftentimes it was really cut and dry with me.
Yeah.
Like really, like, you know, like if you had a position and you weren't able to do it, like I didn't give you much of a chance to actually learn
It's like, okay, well, there's no use for you right now.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm not saying that in a weird way, but that's the way I see things.
It was kind of like a cut and dry. Like either you learn it or you don't.
Yeah, that's it.
And if you don't, you can't work here.
You're slowing me down, buddy. Like you're halting this train, and this train ain't going in that direction. Like we're moving.
Exactly, and that's tough. That's pretty.
You can't just say that. You can't say that. Hey, Jenny, or Johnny, or whoever. You can't really pull that out there. You don't have any Jennies on this one.
No. But it's pretty cutthroat, and it's hard.
I find myself. I'm glad you brought this up, because I've battled with this my whole career, and it gets to the point for me sometimes, and I have to correct myself, and I have to it's something I'm constantly working on. Is for so long I've been programmed to look at people as resources, like in the workplace, to where, and this is one thing, it's like a level of shame comes over me, because coming from a creative place, and that's like the essence of who I am. And when you go into like a corporate world, that all changes, because it forces you. It takes a little bit of your soul away, in a sense. You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? Like
I don't, because I've never worked in the corporate. But I've talked to a lot of people. And people don't understand it unless you're it's a certain type of person. And for me, that used to kill me. But in order to achieve certain things, you have to be very, very objective. Politics, oftentimes it comes into.
And I had to get very objective, and I had to take almost all emotion out. And I was being somebody who works very closely with your emotions. It's hard to put that to the side, and now you're just objectively speaking to people, or you're so task driven.
Yeah.
It's no longer how are you feeling today, or what's going on, or what are we going to do to motivate it? It's like, hey, I need you to do this in this time, and that's it, and we're done. And then from there, this. Because you're thinking of, how am I going to get all these things done with what I have, with limited payroll, with limited, and that's how everything was done. So I even find myself sometimes talking to Sal, and I'm like, oh, calm down.
What you say?
Like, but Sal understands, like, he knows how I am, and he knows that's not me, and he knows it's not coming from a, hey, I'm talking to you like, I'm just being very objective.
Yeah.
Just very, very objective. And I think that can be off-putting, and I'm sure
I've often heard people say, like, there's no place in business for emotions and stuff like that, or don't be too emotional. But, like, we all are humans, and and if we have just a little bit of that, we have some understanding when somebody does get emotional. Because I'm a extremely emotional person, right? Like, I wear my heart on my sleeve most of the time, and most of the time I'm going to say what's on my mind, whether I should or shouldn't, But, like, bringing that human emotion into business gives you some understanding that, hey, guess what? Sometimes people have hard days, or they bring some stuff that is happening in their life to work. Like obviously you don't want it to happen all the time if it interferes with like the overall business operations. But every once in a while, we're not fucking robots, right? Like we have to be a little bit understanding that people do have emotions, and sometimes they do get lost, and generally most of them are going to be good people, but by bringing that and at least understanding, you can bring that a little bit of emotion into business. It doesn't have to be so cut and dry.
And you've been doing, and this is one of the big advantages of, as you said, I've always done this myself. Like I've always done what I'm doing. Like you know that. You didn't have to release that. You didn't have to neglect that part of you. So it's kind of like, it may have been harder in some senses for you to get to some places because using that emotion can kind of hurt you. Because, if you're a little too soft on people, you know what I mean? Like, that's just the way it goes. But at the same time, it's a great asset to you, especially in our age, to be able to hold on to that for so long, because so many people get so tainted and they just don't give a fuck anymore. They're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care.
Bitter.
I'll replace it. Yeah, just
bitter.
Yes.
Angry.
Yes. Just upset people that just hate life. They're just angry all the time.
That's a scary place.
Yes, very. And remember, we were talking at lunch where it's like, when we feel like we're getting into that place, it's like, no. Back up. We're not going there. Like that's not why we created this. Like we're trying to be as far away from that as possible. So I think that's something to celebrate for yourself, that you kept that intact, because that's one regret I do have. I'm kind of on both sides, where it's like, there's no room for emotions, but you need empathy. But I think there's a time for both. There's a time when you're just like, emotions don't matter right now. Like Sal will look at me and be like, brother, emotions don't matter right now. This decision is purely for the best interest of details. And then there's other times where it's like, okay, Sal, this is not going to be a good move for us, because this is going to make this happen, and then this is going to be the outcome, and it's going to be ongoing. And, overall, in the long run, it's probably not going to be worth what we have to put ourselves through, So it's I think it's all decision making and how you want to be the best person for your people, right? I think in a nutshell, that's what we're all trying to do. We want to stay ourselves.
I got a question for you. I don't know if it's a question, it's more of a thought that I've thought about this for a while. And as business owners, a lot of times we want advice. And we ask other people for advice. And sometimes I see this on Facebook a lot, where you see like advice. This particular one that I always see, it's basically two different ways of looking at things. One is the Facebook post is, don't tell anybody your dreams or your aspirations or where you are. It's basically just work and do it, and you don't have to tell anybody.
I've heard that philosophy.
Yeah, and I've heard the opposite too, of like, if you want to get something, let everybody know your plan and where you want to go and what you want to do. Like that's Gary Vee. Basically his mentality is like, he wants to own
expose everything.
He's
like,
told,
get it out there.
He's told everybody his plans and things.
Because now accountability is in.
But what my point here is there's so much advice out there that is contradictory to what other people might say.
Yeah.
Like, you may hear something from somebody that tells you to do this one thing, and you might talk to somebody the next day that tells you the exact opposite. And they may both have very good, valid points. And it's been driving me crazy for like the past couple months. I don't know why I've been like, I literally want to write an entire fucking like blog post about it and put all the different pieces. Some people might tell you this, but like the opposite of that is what people tell you this. Like, who do you believe?
We talk about this all the time.
I think it's a matter of telling the people that need to hear it.
Yeah.
The whoever you have in your corner. There's some people that I want to say stuff to because I know they're going to help me get there. If I say it to this group of people, it's going to go to shit.
Yeah.
So I think it's picking the right audience that you want to tell or not tell to.
Yeah. How do you know that's the right advice for you, though?
You don't.
You might hear something that is like, you might think, oh, they're speaking to me. I need to do that.
And
That's what it is. You'll feel it.
And it's all
You'll feel it.
And then you do it and you're like, oh, that was the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And why did I listen to that?
Yeah, because we have, everybody has their philosophies on business, on ethics, on just like being a good human being nowadays, and their opinion on it, on what you should do or shouldn't do. For us, there's even like on finance.
Right.
We have so many different schools of finance.
Yeah,
oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do that. You should do this. You should do that. We hire professionals to do that. We both have the same financial advisor. You've been doing this for 50 years.
Yeah.
You do it well. Do your job. Like, I don't want to be sitting here figuring out, do I need to go into real estate? Do I need to do this? Do I need to play the stock market? Like, you do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just let me know what you're doing, and I'll give you the money, and let's do it. But it's one of those things where there's some pieces that you agree with, and then there's just like, oh, it made a really, really good point. Because we try to stay very objective when it comes to stuff, because I think through experience and through age, you end up, what you believed before can change so drastically, in a short amount of time. It may be like 5 years. What you believed in, some of your hardcore values at 18, do you really have those values now? So it's kind of like, that's the same thing with when I hear business advice or where people are saying stuff. So we try to keep it as fluid as possible. We try not to preach any one thing, because there's so many different variables. We just want to encourage people to open their minds, be exposed to as many different business models, management types, leadership types, operational, any kind of efficiencies or process improvements as possible. So then you can pick and choose what's working for you. Somebody may watch and say, hey, dude, Jason, I really like Jason's idea of this. I really like his approach on this. Or they might be like, okay, well, I really like how Masterson's did this. Or I really like how so-and-so did this. So do as you wish with it, but you're learning all together, from no matter who it is. Like, we can always learn from somebody. And that's what we always believe. It's like, whether we agree with how you do it or not, like, we're here to see how it turns out.
So what's the piece of advice that you're like, you heard two different conflicting stories on? Like, should I do it that way, or this guy say do it the other way? You have an example, like just a blanket one?
Well, you have whether or not to build a bigger business or a smaller business, right? You have a lot of opinions on, how big a detailing shop should be. Should you do multiplications? I talk to so many different people that are, want to do a franchise or want to build multiple shops, but then on the other side, I just want to do it in my garage at home. And then again, there's no right or wrong there, but that came from like just seeing.
I know.
Yeah, that's one that's on. Yeah, that's an ongoing one that we always see too. Yeah,
it's younger people. It's hard to. I have two younger daughters. One's 18, one's 13, and I often think of even just scrolling through Facebook and seeing like quotes that people are sharing, and oftentimes, like, it almost angers me. Like, if I see a quote that I'm like, no, that's wrong. Like, people are going to believe this and take to this heart and think that's the way that they should do things, And it's like, I can't think of anything in particular, but it's like, there's so much out there, information, and it's kind of hard to know the right and the wrong way, or what you should do.
Never quit. Well, some people need to quit.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's time to quit. Maybe it's time to quit. Maybe somebody needed to tell you that a while ago.
You got it. Yeah.
No, but there's, and I think it comes down to, we always say, we've said this at least 100 times on the podcast, like throughout the whole channel, like the past 3 years. Sourcing your information is like, your source is always going to be more valuable than the actual information itself.
Right.
Who are you getting it from?
Yeah.
Who are you getting it from? Are they in alignment with the values? Do they see where you want to be? You know what I mean? Like, where Details is and where Car Supplies Warehouse is, two completely different things.
Yeah.
But I know where Jason wants to be. Yeah. I know what Jason's doing. I know what Jason is willing to do.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I see what other guys are willing to do, and I see what other guys are willing not to do.
Yeah.
Who's to say, oh, that's better than this?
Yeah.
Like, you do whatever's going to fulfill you, whatever you feel you can take on, and whatever's going to bring you joy as well.
This is why I feel like it's so important for people to sit down and just really think of what they really
That's what it comes down
want.
to. The happiness.
What makes you happy?
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes they may be chasing a bunch of
And then you
money
get
or
there,
something. Yeah,
and you get there, and you wasted all that time, all
Yeah,
that
that's what
energy,
it is.
all that
Really
stuff
didn't
away
want
from
it.
the family.
People are looking at what makes them happy. Some people need to concentrate on what doesn't make them happy.
Yeah.
Just you need to concentrate on not what doesn't make you happy.
Yeah, eliminate that.
Yeah.
Eliminate that first, and then figure out what direction you need to go in. Because we did it. We worked up these ladders, corporate ladders, and we got to a point where we're like, financially, okay, we're good. We're good. This is where we thought we want. This is what we dreamed of. And then it's like, this shit ain't it. This ain't it. And I see a lot of guys, and I think a lot of guys do that for the wrong reasons. Like, what you're doing is a different mission than somebody saying, because we hear guys all the time, I want 4 vans, I want 3 shops, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. A lot of it comes from ego. A lot of it comes from ego. That's one thing. And a lot of it comes from, not saying they're ignorant. Please don't take this the wrong way. We're just saying, I'm saying it as a word. A lot of it comes from ignorance of not understanding what they're putting themselves into.
Yeah.
What they're getting themselves into. You already know. You're doing it.
Yeah.
If you're going to make a decision to do something, you already know. That's you. This is Jason. Jason can endure that. You can't. You know what I mean? That's a bad decision for you. Yeah, you stay in the garage. That's you know what I mean? So, but in no way should that person be saying, oh, no, you shouldn't do that or you should do that. Like, there's guys that have 20 car washes, that
Sure. Yeah,
I see guys do it in restaurants, which is insane.
Yeah.
Restaurants are so hard. Restaurants are so hard. I have friends that have restaurants, and I'm like, gee, I used to run restaurants.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
but they put the time into building that. There is a point, I believe, I'm hoping to get there someday, where you can kind of walk back from your business and be able to take a step back if you put in that time.
You have to.
For the standard operating procedures, making sure you have the right systems in place, automations, taking the time to get the right people in order to run operations and some of that stuff. I'm really hoping to get there.
Okay, so what you just said right now is the key.
Yeah.
But here's the part that most of the people miss is they don't understand. You don't even get to that place until you get the front of the house in order.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to lay down the foundation. You got to lay down, because there's not a time where Jason gets to say, okay, we're closing Car Supplies Warehouse and the bay's down, and this whole month we're going to focus on automation. We're going to focus on SOPs. We're going to focus on that. This is happening. That's like extra credit work you have to do, and you're going to reap those rewards years later. But if you don't know that, you're just operating like barely treading water with no progress, thinking one day, oh, I'm going to step back. Right? Yeah. Do you think they're really going to be able to step back without putting all those things into place that you just mentioned?
Yeah.
No, but nobody wants to do that in the background, because you said by the time your day's over, you're so exhausted, you don't even get to that shit. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Like
100%.
That's the hard part. And we tell people that's the extra shit. That's what makes the entrepreneur. That allows you to do more, because you're putting in that extra credit that other people aren't putting in. And people think that all I got to do is build it and it's going to be there. It's like, it could be, but it's going to be a mess trying to operate.
That's why they should just have a Bays franchise, because we've done
that. There's your answer.
Here's your playbook. 300 pages.
I
like that, Sid. I like you, Jason.